Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So today it's going to be a fun night. We've got a whole crew of people here, and we're going to be talking about Batman, specifically the the live-action movie Batman, Batman '89, Batman Returns, and Batman Forever. And if we have time, we'll get into Batman and Robin as well. So. How are you guys doing?
Movie.
Right. How are you guys all doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So
this
it's
was
right after the holidays, man. Like, everyone, I think everyone's
Can you guys
full.
hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Ninja.
Of course.
Yeah, with the holidays, I'd wanted to do a live stream sooner and just, most people weren't available around Christmas and stuff. So I was glad to do this one. So this was actually Panels and Borders' idea.
Nice.
Dominic, so since this was your idea, which movie would you like to start off with?
Well, might as well start off with the '89 Batman.
All right.
The first one.
Just
So
go in
that's
order.
probably of the four of those movies. That's by far my favorite movie is '89, the original Batman.
Yeah.
And then they just go downhill from there, and then it's Returns and Forever, and then Batman and Robin. Well, that's like almost unwatchable.
Okay, no, I want to point out, actually, I prefer Batman and Robin over Forever, and only because it commits to the cheesy joke, where Forever is like half committing to it. For Batman and Robin just goes full cheese factor. That's why I like it.
I'll kind of confirm that I like Batman and Robin over Forever.
Yeah,
I've heard that from a number of people. Forever is often ranked as the worst, but Batman and Robin is there's so many cringy moments.
but I think that's what makes me enjoy it, because like it just like it kind of delves itself into the cringe. Like it's so bad, it makes me laugh. But with it also, like, I mean, I also have to choose between Val Kilmer and George Clooney. I think I'm gonna go with George Clooney.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Val Kilmer was. I rewatched all four of those movies before coming on here. Val Kilmer was really wooden.
Yeah, he is kind of stiff in that one. But,
Yeah.
Michael Keaton was too, though.
I found with Batman and Robin, like George Clooney is just he's just George Clooney. Like he's not acting; he's just being himself almost.
I like Chris O'Donnell. I liked him. I thought he was handsome.
He's handsome. He's fine. Like Chris O'Donnell, he was
Was he Robin?
Yeah,
He
he
was
was
Robin.
the Robin.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
He literally want to showcase like how cool he is. He has to dry his towels by hand drying instead of like put them in the dryer. Like that's an actual scene.
It's a shame because Val Kilmer was coming off, or I don't remember when he did The Saint, but there was a sense that he could do these kinds of films, and it did it forever. He felt like he was cast there, and he wasn't really sure why he was there. It was an odd role for him. I think I've seen him do better, but wooden was the right word.
Wooden was the right word for it.
With Forever, I have more qualms with the Riddler and Two-Face, specifically Two-Face. Like, why is he always laughing? Like, dude, you're not the Joker. Just dial it back. Like, he keeps trying to out Jim Carrey, and it's like, what?
The thing is, I like so in Forever, I will say one thing I do like is the way I do like the chemistry between Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones, though. Like, sans the laughing from like Two-Face or sans the jokerness of like Riddler, Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones seem like, can I just get a movie with those two kind of doing whatever the fuck they want to do?
Well, me and my girlfriend watched Batman Forever last night, and we were like saying like that's the thing about the Batman Forever is Jim Carrey and like Tommy Lee Jones are way too over the top.
Right?
Like, that was Jim Carrey's height of being Jim Carrey, and so he was pulling out all the Jim Carrey stuff for that role.
Yeah.
So he probably would make a better Riddler now because he'd be way more dialed back than what he was back in that movie. Like,
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, and what gets me is it's Jim Carrey, all right? You expect that. And for the Riddler, he's a pretty quirky character. Like, that would have worked, but Tommy Lee Jones should have just played the straight man instead of trying to, like, be crazier than Jim Carrey. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
So,
he was an assistant DA or whatever, right? Or he was the DA.
Right?
Yeah, he was.
At least half the time he should be normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta think there was so many conflicting directions going into those films.
But that plays for you. This is when
Oh, I
Well,
bet you're right.
Actually, okay. So I actually recently watched the interview with Schumacher in regards to like the movie. So when he was hired, like called in to do the movie, he didn't think he'd be doing Batman Forever. I want to point that out. Like, so Tim Burton's Batman and Robin did not do as well as they'd hoped because during Batman Returns, he didn't do as well as they'd hoped. So they let him go in the middle of production of Batman Forever because as soon as he was done Returns, he went right to direction of Forever, right? And they let him go partway through it and took on Schumacher, and Schumacher's like, oh, okay, because Schumacher wanted to say, what if I do a prequel to Tim Burton's movies and do my version of Year One?
Yeah, that's right.
And they were like, no, we want you to do Tim Burton, but we want you to make it like more toy friendly.
Exactly. No, they were getting sponsorships by some of the fast food chains at the time, and they were trying to lower it down.
Well, I don't know if anyone remembers, but there's a lot of backlash from McDonald's and with the Happy Meal toys and stuff with Batman Returns because Batman Returns was such a dark movie.
Yep.
I do.
Yes.
I was a kid when that happened. I was like, why can't we get the toys? Like, oh, it's too dark. I just rewatched that movie. Like, even the way it opens is super dark with the penguin as a kid, and he kills the cat, and his parents throw him in the.
Yeah.
Oh man! Like, there's a part where like he bites off some dude's like nose. It's like really bloody.
No, okay. I remember watching that as a child, and I thought Penguin was just the absolute scariest thing. And Batman Returns was my favorite movie out of all of them.
So 89 and Returns are kind of equal for me because I like a lot of aspects of both of them. And okay, so I love so you know that part where they walk into the beginning of like Batman 89, they walk into the like armory room and like all those like armor pieces that like Bruce has bought from all around the world. I love those.
Yeah, that's a nice scene. That's a cool scene.
Yeah. And I think one or two of them are actually homages from like another movie that Warner Brother worked on.
It's very possible. They used to reuse their props all the time.
Yeah. It also makes you like miss like practical props. I wish movies would use more practical props these days.
Yeah.
No.
So how many people here were actually old enough to see Batman 89 originally when it came out in theaters?
I was literally born the year when the movie came out. So
enough, yeah. But I don't remember I don't believe we went. I remember us getting it on VHS. That was like a big thing.
No,
we didn't go to the theater very often back then.
I really liked the costumes. I think some of the costumes looked better than some of the more modern DC movies. I definitely love the Catwoman costume. It's one of my favorite live action costumes for her.
The Batman costume could have been better though, where it's so stiff.
So this is where I'm gonna give props to outside of the nipples, like on the Batsuit. I think I think the designs were much more mainstream in like the Forever and the Batman and Robin costume. Like they were much more used to what you would expect to see in a comic, and like were easy to move around in for the actor. You could tell. So I think
I like the Keaton one though, with the yellow emblem on his chest.
Yeah, I do like the yellow emblem. I want them to keep the yellow emblem. But I didn't like how like stiff Keaton could feel in that costume half the time. Right?
He moves awkwardly, especially if he has to throw something or pick something up.
Yeah, he can't move his neck.
Yeah.
Nope.
In the 89 Batman, it's like his neck is stiff all the time. He can't really turn his head in that suit.
Yeah.
So he has to turn his whole body when you watch the movie. He has to turn his whole body whenever he's looking around.
Yeah.
So dramatically.
He did, yeah. I'm sure it was terrible.
Well, I think he complained about like how sweaty the suit would get and how he couldn't like move around very much.
But outside of Batman, and again, you probably want your main character to have the best costume, but I think his villains had some of the best costumes on there. I think they looked really comic accurate while still not looking too over the top.
Yeah.
One of the movies, as bad as it was, Batman and Robin, I think it got the look for the villains down pretty good.
Honestly, I actually kind of enjoy Arnold Schwarzenegger as like a jokey Mr. Freeze, like making the ice puns.
Yeah.
But
That was so great.
Like you can hate everything about that movie, but you have to admit at least like Arnold was 100% like in that role.
He looks
Yeah, he
really
was
good
giving it
too
his
with the
all.
blue skin and stuff.
Like you can tell he had a good time with it. He was just like, I was watching, like literally he has like all his minions singing like ice songs as he's like, "No, you are my minions. You will do as I please." Like,
It was
all right.
to have a campy. I mean, it. You look back on it, it's painful to watch at times. There's cringe, but it's also nice to have such a kind of goofy. It was a nice bridge between the old Adam West Batman and what we have today. In that sense, you can watch it from that perspective, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable, I think.
I mean, I will gladly take the hate for like liking Batman and Robin for how bad it is, because I enjoy it for its badness. Like, there's points where I'm like, I want a cringy movie, and that's kind of one of my guilty pleasures for those cringy movies.
It's hard for me because I see the movie it could have been. Like they have the actors and the money and the sets and everything, and it failed in some ways. Like Bane being like brain damaged or something. Like all he does is
He was a
growl.
mongoloid.
Yeah, really. Well, he can drive for some reason. He drives Poison Ivy around, but that was not Bane. He looked good. I mean, they cast a good guy. He was really big and everything, but Bane should be smart, not. I don't know.
I think the problem that movie had, though, is like it was too busy again, like trying to sell those toys, right? Like Schumacher was really brought in to be like, "Hey, man, can you sell those toys again?" And because like Forever, like okay, just because like Returns didn't do as well as Warner Brothers wanted, and then the other complaints from the parents. But then you have like Forever. Forever came out, and Forever was like nearly as popular as '89, maybe even more so at that time period. Which then, so of course Warner Brothers looks at Schumacher and is like, "Do it again." Like,
more, yeah.
Yeah, and
Well, well, I've heard that Batman Forever actually made more money than Returns.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's true or not.
No,
it is.
I believe it.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah, Forever, like Returns, actually was one of the few times Tim Burton didn't actually make like the amount of money he normally does in theaters.
It fell into a weird.
Back then.
It still made a boatload of money though. Returns. I was looking at that earlier. It had like 80 million budget and made almost 300 million domestic, which
Yeah, but as compared to like the first Batman, which made like almost $1 billion, you're like,
wow. And that's in 1989 money.
Right.
Not in today play money.
Yeah.
So they look at Tim and like, "Tim, you failed us, man. We got to find somebody else."
And they kind of threw him under the bus on that one, but it was pretty dark. Like I actually double checked the rating on it when I was rewatching it today. I was like, for real? Like when friggin' Catwoman shows up in Penguin's place and he says something like, "Oh, that's the pussy I'm looking for," or something. And it was just like, for real? Did he just say that? Like, damn.
I still to this day wonder what his Superman would have been like. I know, okay, people say, "Oh, well, I don't want to see what's his name?
Nick Cage.
Nick Cage.
Oh,
Superman."
yeah.
But I'm like, no one would have even thought of Michael Keaton playing Batman back then either. Like this is a guy who was like in romance movies before he played Batman. Like,
Yeah.
he was the pretty boy that understood ladies, right?
Or goofy movies like Beetlejuice, yeah.
Yeah, like, and then or he's in a comedy like Beetlejuice, and then it's just like, let's get him to play Batman.
I wish we would have gotten the Nick Cage Superman. I mean, undoubtedly it would have been awful, but it would have been something.
Yeah.
Well, he got to play Superman in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Yep, he was the voice. And he was Noir in the new Spider-Man film, but I would have loved to see just a whatever kind of insane crap.
So I'm gonna get people and maybe chat. I'm gonna get chat on the Nick Cage bandwagon just for one little thing. He actually fought because Tim Burton did not want the underoos on Superman during his movie. Nick Cage tried to fight to get the underoos in the movie during the test screenings. Said, "You know, I want the red underoos," and they said, "Well, no, we can't. Okay, can we do at least like a dark blue? Because I feel like the suit's not complete without the underoos."
That's what I was going to say about Nick Cage is like he doesn't seem like he would play the role well, but I think he really, really loves Superman. Like he owns multiple copies of Action Comics #1.
Yeah,
He named his kid Kal-El.
Yeah, like he is a super
That's pretty
fan.
dedicated.
Poured a lot of money into his fandom. It's crazy too because there aren't that many copies of Action Comics #1, right? Like you can look up where they are in the world, and he has multiple copies. I'm just like, geez.
Yeah. Well, he's a collector, man. He's a big fan. Like he likes talking about the character. Like if you talk with him about it, he'll talk about like his favorite runs and his favorite version of Superman and all that kind of stuff. He's dedicated. So
no, I think it would have been interesting. I think you got to lean into some of this silliness. We've got good movies. We've got a lot of things going on, but I mean, why not? Why not have Nick Cage cameo as Ghost Rider in Avengers 4? Why not just have him walk on it? I mean,
Yeah.
What? I mean, is it going to cost the movie money at this point? Go ahead, just throw it in there. Give us an Easter.
Yeah.
Just have him walk by.
That's good to me.
Oh, it sounds fine to me. I don't mind.
I mean, I'm sure it'd be awful, but I mean, come on. We've got the movie will be so serious. Just have him just walk by in the background, like, oh, I got something to go over here. Got to get some jellies. Just something. Just something.
Just like just have like that one scene where some guy, drops his ice cream on him and he like whips him with like the fire whip and he's just on his way.
Why not? Have some fun.
Yeah. Like,
urinates fire on him, on Thanos, and
There you go.
No mistake, but I don't know. That weird time of movies. It was. You look back on some of that stuff, and it is painful now. But I mean, for so many people, the Batman films were your childhood, and you grew up with that, and then you got older, and you got the Nolan films, and now here we are. But it's just in the place it has.
I feel like where we are now, that passion that those old movies had is just kind of gone, though.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. It's formulaic now. They're running a very clear formula. I mean, Aquaman was good. There's good movies out there. So I mean, I'm not dissing that they're taking this stuff with more seriousness. That's cool.
yeah.
But there was a spirit and excitement that now it's very much calculated to make sure they make a certain percentage of money, and you can kind of feel that in the marketing how they put it together.
It really depends on the director too. Like James Wan's just a good director, so they didn't give him as much money to play with as Justice League, and he turned out a better movie. And that just shows in the box office. People keep going back and watching it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, well, I think the big difference between now and back in the 80s, like when that first Batman movie came out, like there was really nothing for superhero movies. I mean, you had the Chris Reeve movies, and then you had like some bad TV Hulk movies. But then when that first Batman movie came out, that was like a huge, huge thing.
Nothing since Adam West, right?
Yeah, there was nothing. It was a huge event. Whereas today, like there's 3, 4, like how many superhero movies do you have a year now? Like we're almost like to the point where we're completely spoiled when it comes to superhero movies now. Where back then it was nothing. Like when an '89 Batman came out, that was like today's Avengers almost. Like the Infinity War is the big event movie now. Like that was the big event movie back then was Batman '89.
Yep. No,
Yeah, if you were a kid back then, everybody saw that. Everybody that loved comics.
You're talking about the toys. I do remember having several, like more than one Batman from that movie. Like they were a big deal back in the day.
That had the grappling hook in his belt.
Oh, I remember that. I never had it. Yeah, it was
got him right here hanging on the on my lamp.
Does anyone remember the one that you could actually where he actually had like the bat suit where you could actually remove it and put it on like the Michael?
That was the next movie, the Returns.
From Returns.
Okay.
Yep, I had that one too. That one was the best. You have your Michael Keaton action figure.
Like a Michael Keaton action figure with where he's able to wear his bat suit or not, and
it looked so bad.
It did, but like it also had like a Batmobile you could get with it too. Remember correctly?
Oh yeah, the '89 Batmobile was really
Batmobile. That was the best Batmobile.
Mm-hmm.
I like the animated series Batmobile, but it's kind of like a reworking of it, right? Like
yeah, it's pretty much just and they used the same theme. Oh, that was the best part about the
I really
Batman animated series, that it was basically they just took it and put it back to the comic style, and it was just so good. So
really
all of that stuff, the early Batman stuff was so amazing.
Actually, they got Danny Elfman to do the theme for the Flash series back in that day too.
Yep.
So that was actually that's why the theme was very similar to the Batman, because like I think they originally wanted the Flash to take place in the same universe.
The John Wesley Shipp series.
Yep.
It's cool. He's in the new Flash and stuff too. Like
that is cool. Yeah.
I like
I
that.
actually have
He
that
looks
old
really
series on DVD.
What's that, Pope?
the guy we were just talking about looks really plastic though. He just looks really fake.
Like in the face, or?
Yeah, just in his face. Just
Oh,
every time I
so
see it,
he's
I'm
a
kind of
guy.
like, okay, he looks plastic.
He's been around a while.
Yeah, he's been around. That was a while ago, that Flash series.
Early 90s, I think, but he's
Yeah.
really buff. I'll give him that.
Well, John Wesley Shipp was on like Days of Our Lives, I think, before he started doing the Flash.
Really?
I think he was on some soap opera before he started doing that show. Yeah,
That's so weird. So for superheroes, you look for your romance guy, apparently, like Keaton, you said, and Ship.
yeah, pretty much.
I wonder if there's a pattern there. Like, was
What about Dean
wasn't,
Cain?
Yeah, and wasn't Henry not?
Well,
Yeah, Dean Cain, Christopher Reeve too. I think.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve was from a soap. That's where.
Yeah.
He was.
He cracked the code.
And Dean Cain, he did an episode of 90210, and that's how they spotted him for Superman, because he was really popular among the girls, and that's why they got him.
That's so weird.
Get that Game of Thrones romance. It fits.
Yeah, I like the Dean Cain Superman series, man.
Me too. That was what I grew up with. He was my Superman when I was little. That was what was on TV.
Yeah.
The New
Like,
Adventures.
Teller show up and like they're like Superman was like hypnotized for whatever reason or something. Oh man,
Yeah.
That was a weird episode.
You guys remember the black and white Superman series?
The George Reeves one?
The old one. It was like
From the 50s. That was George Reeves.
Yeah.
And they had Kirk Allen do was Superman in black and white, but that was like
Well, it wasn't like George Reeves like showing up on set drunk, so they couldn't keep him on the roll or something.
Yeah.
well, yeah, he had depression and stuff. But
I mean,
he was a really good actor.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. Like, don't get me wrong, but I mean, like, at that point, it's just like, dude, you're not taking your job seriously, right? It's just, and I get it. Like, he had problems, and it was way back in the 50s when they didn't understand mental issues as best as they do now. But
Yeah.
like, it's just crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, he was cool though. If you ever watch, there's a crossover episode with I Love Lucy he was on, or vice versa. Maybe she was on his show. I don't know.
Oh yes,
Superman.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Like Lucy does her like stupid like klutz routine like she normally does, and he literally saves her.
Yeah.
And didn't like Manuel, her boyfriend, like get jealous of Superman for like a little bit or something in that episode?
I'm sure. Wouldn't you?
I mean, who wouldn't be, right?
Right. Oh man, it's so funny, and I know we're way off topic, but in All-Star Superman, when those two guys, Samson and Atlas or someone, are trying to steal Lois from Superman. Remember that? In All-Star Superman, the two guys show up and he arm wrestles them.
Oh yeah, I remember that from the comic series. Yeah, All-Star Superman. Yeah, it was Atlas and Samson.
Yeah. And they're really trying to big dog Superman, and they get owned. I was like, yes. But why would you even try? I don't know. It was funny.
Well, to be fair, Atlas and Samson are supposed to be, to be like really strong,
Supposed to be.
Like they're supposed to be as strong as Superman.
Looks like Perch is gonna have to head off. So thanks for stopping by, Perch.
I was just here for a short time. Saturday is just getting going, but I did want to thank you for doing such great shows all year and the stuff that you put out and all the people here. I really hope that in 2019 we can talk more and less Twitter drama would be nice. And otherwise, I'm going to go drink as much as I can and cough syrup and whatever else I can get my hands on.
Nice.
But I wish you guys a really great year, and thanks for everything you do.
Thanks, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, take care.
Take care, guys.
Happy holidays, Perch. Have a good one.
You can be sure and follow Comic Perch at Comic Perch on Twitter. He's awesome,
I will.
dude. I know you already do.
Oh.
Tell the audience. All right, so we ought to come back to Batman, right?
We should. So, I mean, like, it is...
Who hasn't talked? Let's, Pope, we'll put you on the spot. What's your favorite Batman of the 4 movies we've been talking
Batman
about?
Returns.
Oh, that was fast. Well, who's your favorite character on there? Probably Catwoman.
Yeah, I liked the Catwoman in that movie.
She is cool. I liked her too.
Yeah, I liked her design. I thought she was kind of a cool character in it.
She can move a lot easier than Batman too. Like,
yeah,
I was
she
like,
really
no wonder
can.
she's kicking his ass. Right?
Yeah, I thought she was a good. I thought she's probably one of the best Catwomans. But again, that's not saying too much.
Well, the '66 Catwoman was pretty cool. Like Julie Newmar, and what was the other one? Eartha Kitt.
Yeah,
I thought they were all right, but yeah, they weren't jumping around and kicking ass.
Anybody but Halle Berry.
We try to forget that happened.
Yeah, I don't even.
She did look really good, Edward. She looked really good in her costume.
Who did? Oh, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't
she
even
did.
try and pronounce her name. It'll just be really hard for me.
It's all good.
What did you think of the Anne Hathaway Catwoman?
I don't like Anne Hathaway.
Hmm.
So I didn't really like her Catwoman. I thought the design was just way too simple too. Just didn't really. I don't know. I thought the cat ears were kind of cheap.
That's fair. That's fair. She did feel too cat burglary for me.
Yeah, it wasn't like full on Catwoman too. Like, didn't embrace the cat side of it as much as.
Did she even have any cats?
I think she did, but it was weird. Like, I don't know. I just didn't find her Catwoman to be too appealing.
No, they really downplayed the Catwoman side of it because they never actually call her Catwoman in the movie.
Yeah, it was like everyone knows that's who she's supposed to be, but they don't really say it. Kind of like with Superman in Smallville, and you're like, just put on the S, and he's like, I refuse. 10 seasons in, you're like, is this guy ever gonna dress as Superman? They call him the Blur for like what, 4 seasons or something?
Yeah, they do.
The red blue blur, and then he was just the Blur. But
as much as I liked that show, for after a while, it started to give me a headache. I was like, just be Superman.
But I mean, like, don't you trust the Blur?
I trust the Blur, but I trust Superman more.
Yeah. Oh man, that's actually one of the things that bothered me the most about that series, like, because I think Tom Welling just didn't want to wear the suit, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why would you even hire somebody that didn't want to wear the suit? Why would you get that guy to play Superman then?
Right?
It's just stupid.
They didn't ask him ahead of time, apparently.
Well, they would have done way better to just pay fan service and give us the show we wanted, because I didn't watch that show because I knew it was just boring. And he didn't dress as Superman ever. Ever.
It was a lot of like teen drama sort of stuff, but there were cool parts too, like when the JSA showed up.
Yeah, there was cool in the last 3 seasons. There was a lot of fan service.
Yeah, it got better. I think their ratings must have dipped in the middle.
I want to point out that the CGI, like at the last episode where he finally wears the suit, the CGI just to try to get it like to look like he's wearing the suit is so bad. Because like
maybe that was the problem.
Yeah, the CGI in general was just bad. It was a WB, teen drama. It was not going to be the level of the movies at the time.
Probably could have been just a cost-saving thing. Like they probably figured, well, it's the last episode. What's the point in designing a suit and making a suit for him if it's only going to be in one episode? But we can just like cut around it.
Yeah. Well, because I think the suit was already pre-designed. Like he just never. I don't know if he actually ever wore it or not, though. Like.
Yeah, no, I did hear that. I heard that they were actually designing a suit for him for the last episode, but I don't know. I could have sworn I heard that, but then they never used it, or I don't know, they never went with it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, let's go back to the movies, I guess. I mean, that'd probably be the best. We keep diverging. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all DC.
So one thing I noticed about going back and watching like the older Batman movies and something, but none of the guys that played Batman, like Keaton or Val Kilmer or Clooney, like none of them bothered to get in shape. like where now today, like actors, like they really get ripped for the roles when they play a superhero. Like they get like the personal trainers and all that. Back then, like they didn't bother. Like Keaton just looked like an ordinary guy. Like he didn't look like he was like tough at all until he put on the armor, rubber armor. But like he just looked like there was no sense that he was like a tough guy, nothing like that. You know what I mean?
He's pretty short too.
Yeah, and he was pretty short.
I remember Sylvester Stallone complaining about the prevalence of padded suits in the late 80s and throughout the 90s. And it's like, people like him and Schwarzenegger and stuff would basically kill themselves to get in amazing shape for every movie. And then eventually they just started becoming more comfortable putting padded suits on so that you could make guys like Michael Keaton look like some kind of muscle-bound athlete.
I'm
looking at you, Shazam.
Zachary Levi got in really good shape. He may not.
Zachary Levi,
it's somewhat padded, but he got in really good shape for that.
Yeah, like the padded suit. The suit is padded, but like if you actually see him outside of the suit, he's actually very he's actually very built now.
Yeah, I know. That's just one of the main things people are like criticizing that movie for before it even comes out. Is he's wearing a padded suit? It's like, yeah, but you want him to look superhuman, like. He's ridiculous with that thing on.
I want to point out Shazam is the true Captain Marvel. I don't know. I keep hearing of this other Captain Marvel movie. I don't think it exists.
I haven't heard anything about another one. I don't know.
So as for like the Michael Keaton, actually I was okay with like these like regular dudes, like the way they look, because you got to remember, like back in that day. That was actually considered fairly in shape. Like,
yeah,
this was the 80s, though. I mean, Rocky IV came out a year before that.
Okay, but Rocky IV is like that's a boxer like level in shape. Like we're talking like here's an example. Like when you watch Star Trek, the original Star Trek, like William Shatner was considered
he's like punchy.
Like
I remember
considered like hot for a guy back then.
Yeah,
like, and that's the same thing for like 89 or like mid 90s, like George Clooney and like Val Kilmer and like Michael Keaton were considered hot. Like they were considered, oh yeah, this is like the hot guy. Like this is what he looks like. Like, and I'm like, I wouldn't say like they're out of shape, but they're not exactly like muscle bound, right? They're more.
Well, they just look like regular guys.
Yeah,
like like regular guys. It's like they're not like out of shape, but they're in shape, but just like a regular guy. I don't know how. That's the only way I can explain it, I guess.
Yeah, like they're regular guys. And like the only one I can think of that might have like I can think of maybe a few that slightly got like better shape for their roles like back then.
Christopher Reeve bulked up a lot. Christopher Reeve used to be the skinny kid. My mom and dad actually saw him in like a stage show at like the Hippodrome in Baltimore when he was just
used to be a stage actor.
And he was tall and he had a commanding presence, but he was skinny as hell. And then he trained with the guy who played Darth Vader, and he got in incredible shape for the Superman movies. So there's an example right there.
Well, if you listen to some of the special features there in the Superman movies, they interview Christopher Reeve and they wanted to put him in a padded suit. And he said, well, you can have one or the other. You can have me or the padded suit. He said, but he wants to get in shape. He said, but he's not going to wear a padded suit. So that's when he actually got in shape. So because you could tell the suit's not padded at all, right? So you actually had to be in shape to wear that suit to play Superman and pull it off.
Yeah. And well, I mean, that's the one, like, as much as the movie sucks, like Steel sucks, but you can tell like Shaquille O'Neal tried to make sure that he looked decent before doing the movie, right? Like, the movie sucks. Steel still sucks. It's a terrible movie. Don't watch it. But also, like, if you have somebody like what's his name? The guy who played well, yeah, there's a few of them. I'm just trying to remember. Like, I was trying to remember another one, but like, there's a few of them, right? Where the actor, like, there are a handful where the actor did look like they at least buffed up a bit, right? But then there's like certain scenarios where, I'm thinking to myself, like, would I want Batman to like be uber buff, or would I actually want him to look more like a regular guy? And it's a toughie for me because he's supposed to be trained in, like, martial arts and like multiple forms of martial arts. And he's supposed to also be trained in, like, how to handle like mental problems and stuff like that. So part of me is like, I don't know if I want him to be like uber buff. Like,
You have to be though, just to even stand a chance on the street. Like, friggin' fighting 5 guys at once all the time, and like grappling hooks to carry himself up. Like, that's all upper body strength to hold on. And
no, and I agree with you. But I mean, like, part of who his character though is supposed to be like he's smart and uses his gadgets to make up for like where his losses are, right? Like,
I mean, Neil Adams described him as being a character that would medal in every single Olympic event. Which,
wow.
Yeah. So it's like he can like do the 100-yard dash and also do, you know, the powerlifting event and the shot put and all that.
Being like a top martial arts person is, you know, he's got the.
It's like somebody who's like 6'4" and 240 pounds and is also an expert martial artist. Like, he would be really scary. It's like somebody who not only has that much natural power, but also that great a technique. Like, he really probably could down most people with one punch.
That's how you get to do it.
Yeah, I mean, part of me also like misses those days of like the regular actor kind of thing too.
Well, yeah, part of it too is that back in the day, these weren't franchise movies for the most part. These were just expected to be a movie that an actor did, and then they moved on. But nowadays, like, when you sign up to do a superhero movie, you're signing up to do like 15 movies. A lot of actors they're starting to kind of get to people. I know Chris Evans sometimes complains about it. I know a lot of the Marvel actors are like they've been trying for years to find ways out of their contracts, but Disney, you know, you're not going to fight the mouse on that. But it's one of those things. It's like, it used to be that superhero movies were just simply another kind of movie that came out that year. But for the last like 10 years, they've been the only movies keeping Hollywood afloat. So you kind of have to put in the extra effort to be a part of it.
Yeah, this year is the top grossing year for box office money as far as dollars.
Yeah, probably not in terms of attendance, and probably not adjusted for inflation.
Not.
But
it's just like comics. The issue units goes down every year and the dollars goes up. That's why these guys, you know, what's his name at you know, all of them, the editors and stuff, they don't get in trouble because they still make a profit.
How long can they get away with that though before it implodes?
I don't know. It's weird, and all the numbers are right there on Comic-Con. Like, it's funny because you go and look. Well, you guys all know the unit sales used to be much more, but they should just raise the prices. Then on the paper, the profits are still there.
Release 150 variants for a #1 that just had a #1 issue 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, well, even like I have a friend that he's hardcore comic collector, and he's not on social media at all, so he doesn't know anything about like what's going on with like on social media with Comicsgate or anything like that. So he's totally ignorant about that. But he's been dropping titles like crazy. He knows there's something wrong, but he can't put his finger on it, kind of thing. Like, he just knows there's something wrong with the stories, but he can't really articulate what's wrong with them, and so.
They're just not good.
Yeah, like he just says there's something about him. He's just been, and he used to buy like a stack. Like, he would go in there each week and he'd have a stack of comics. And now it's been dropping slowly more and more. Now he's getting to the point where he thinks it's going to be an implosion because the cover prices are going up. So he wants to like purge his collection of modern comics.
Well, it's got to be hard for someone like him too, because if he isn't on social media, he isn't going to find the few good books there are. Like, I got clued into Alterna, but that was only through social media. So, like, you know, if he's cut off from that, it would be really discouraging, I think. Even more so than it is for us.
The only thing he knew anything about was the Jawbreakers controversy, only because when we went in to get our files that Wednesday, everyone in our comic store was talking about that happened with the Mark Waid thing. That's the only bit of exposures he's ever had.
Oh yeah, that's a wonderful exposure. Here, let me just ruin you on Comicsgate here. Let me just show you what it's about.
That's usually how it goes down, though.
I don't know. I mean, like, honestly, if you're a person outside looking in, Mark Waid looks like the asshole in that scenario. If you ask me. But I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm seeing something like maybe you don't.
Big time comic book writer bullies smaller publisher and a smaller independent creator. Yeah, if you
gotta
explain it,
remember, it's always framed in a totally skewed way, though. They don't start off saying it that way. They're like, this hate group is trying to get this publisher to put out this comic they didn't know about, and we warned them, and now there's all this legal trouble. You know how they do.
No, I got you.
It's all about the spin.
Gotta spin it. You gotta get the monies.
But how many? Yeah, but how many guys are like comic readers are like my buddy who's not even on social media, but they're still dropping comics, even though they know nothing about Comicsgate? It's probably a lot, I would think.
Would indicate quite a few, yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, like, it's not just comics. So we're not only running into comics as a problem, we're also running into the problem of, like, we're at a point where Disney's competing with itself at the box office now.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
If they have 8 of the 10 blockbusters in the year, they're trying to space their movies out so they don't step on each other's toes. Like Jungle Book and, was it Infinity War?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had to space those two out, and they still kind of, took a little from each other.
Hell, Black Panther wasn't even out on DVD or even on digital by the time Infinity War came out. And then Infinity War wasn't even out by the time the Ant-Man and the Wasp came out. That's a problem.
Get it out. That mouse needs that money.
Well, how many
aren't they buying Fox?
Yeah, how many more years do you guys think are like is left in the MCU? Like how many more years they can take it before it runs out of gas?
Oh, indefinitely.
Yeah,
they'll just keep it going. Why can't they? There's no reason they couldn't.
Once the formula either starts wearing on people or
I've already sold out myself. Like I'm already gone. Sorry.
Or they get new fans coming in all the time, though, is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe.
Or they could just release, like, maybe the formula will fail them and they'll just release a couple of stinkers in a row, and then people will be like, why do I want to see these movies again?
Because I heard someone compare the MCU to the Universal monster films that were back in the 30s. That was almost like the first shared universe. And they said Universal ran with that for about 30 years before that finally died out.
Did you see they tried to reboot that?
I saw.
I was really disappointed it failed. I mean, The Mummy wasn't that good, but they could have really made something cool with their dark universe. That was a good idea.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, okay, so this is where I am with Marvel movies. I was actually like, I had already like cashed my check and was already gone way before Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe, I don't know what phase it was. Like, it was in the middle of one of the phases, somewhere around there. Like, I think maybe Guardians of the Galaxy 2, maybe before that, somewhere around there. And yeah, I haven't enjoyed a movie since then.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I feel like Guardians 2 was when the formula became so screamingly obvious that it was hard to it was hard to deny it anymore. It's like, yep, every single movie is kind of the same, isn't it? Black Panther came along and it was kind of different because it was a little bit more serious at times. And then Infinity War has that gut punch ending where the bad guy just flat out wins, like unequivocally defeats the heroes. It's like, damn.
I still didn't like Infinity War. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but so they're trying different things to kind of to spice it up, but I don't know how far they can go with that.
The thing is, I think I still would have preferred if Thanos had did it under like the pretense that it was for like what he did it for in the comics because he was in love with death, or rather than just being like, I'm doing it because I'm doing you all a favor, and I'm like,
they changed his motivation in the movie for some reason. Yeah, because in the comics he wanted to impress Death.
Well, because there was a whole thing behind that, though. Like, there was a lot of explanation as to why he was in love with the cosmic manifestation of death. It's like, just to explain that.
You don't even need to go into a long point of explanation. I'm tired of these origin movies that go into a long explanation of like why you need to like explain the origin. When you're watching Batman '89, because I'm going to bring it back to topic here. How long is the origin in that movie?
Oh, it's not very long at all. It's just basically a flashback, and then that's it.
Exactly, because that's all you need.
Knows who Batman already was.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. You could easily do that for Thanos, being like, you could easily set up a scenario where he sees the cosmic death, and he sees somebody who could potentially like be his equal, maybe even like somebody who he could attain to be as strong as, and then he falls in love with her. You don't need to do much explanation. Like this origin movie stuff is like, I think what's hurting a lot of these movies.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for like Batman and Spider-Man, but most people don't know most of the characters, so you got to give them some kind of an origin. Like Wonder Woman, that's an origin movie that did great and was good.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think origins are inherently the problem.
I do think it is. Like outside of us knowing that Wonder Woman came from Themyscira to stop like.
They showed her growing up and everything, though, and getting trained, and this drama with her mom, and like it was like half the movie.
You could have done that in like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
because like after you leave Themyscira, does her mom hold any weight whatsoever in the rest of the movie?
No. Yeah,
like so it's as soon as she leaves Themyscira, everything's all about the war.
It's a good movie, though, right?
I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I mean, like, I'm using that as an example.
Origin story.
Oh, I'm not arguing that it's not an origin story, but I think it could have been an even better movie if more time, had been spent on the war aspect rather than her origin, because then you could have maybe even reworked that ending and made a better ending.
I'll give you that.
I think it depends on the character too. You know, some characters have better origins than others. Like, you know, one of my favorite superhero movies of all time is the original Christopher Reeve Superman. And that's like my favorite version of Superman's origin is that movie.
And the origin takes half the movie.
Yeah, and it does. It takes half the movie.
Did they really need to show him naked though when he was a baby?
That was very important.
that was gratuitous. I was like, why?
Because they could.
Because it was the 70s.
I mean, okay, let's take a look at something like Deadpool's origin story.
Yeah. Oh,
was that important to the movie?
Yeah. Well,
his whole motivation was finding.
That's how he became Deadpool.
Ajax.
Francis.
I actually didn't like it. I actually like Francis or Ajax, or whatever you want to call him. I'm like, it could have just like you could have easily just made him some rando villain, like. Because the problem with the origin is half the time we're taking certain parts of like Wade's story seriously, and the other half of the time we're taking it as a joke. So I'm like, you're kind of teetering here. Like I enjoy Deadpool for a movie, but it is.
Well, the comics is the same way. Like sometimes they're deadly serious, and sometimes they're just goofy.
Here's the problem: like
even anime is like that.
Yeah, I'm not okay. Like, there's the goofy and there's the serious, but like Deadpool promised us like to subvert us, but he still saves the girl at the end.
Yeah, that's true. It's much more. It's a more conventional story than that's giving.
Like, it's not subverting anything. He still has his tragic backstory. You know?
Yeah.
Like
that's weird. You're right. It's conventional for pretending not to be. That's so strange.
It's still very irreverent. That's the unconventionalness of it. It's just the overall feel of it.
Peter Parker talked to Cameron in Spider-Man 1.
Sorry?
Peter Parker talked to us in Spider-Man 1.
Okay.
Like, in the movie, it's him breaking the fourth wall is him telling us, oh, well...
Oh, I get what you mean.
Yeah, like, that's the irreverent part. He's talking to us, but the problem is, Peter Parker's like, oh, yeah, that's me.
No, I'm talking about all the sex jokes and stuff like that. And Deadpool just flat out killing people throughout most of the movie.
Wolverine?
It's not the same. It's not as like goofy. I mean, you're talking. I mean, the movie worked for what it was.
I'm not hating on the movie, but okay, like let me explain to you. Has anyone here seen One Punch Man, like the anime One Punch Man?
I've seen it.
All right. So in One Punch Man, they make a fun of the origin story where Saitama literally says, "My origin is I did push-ups for like I did 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and I ran for like 100 meters a day." Or something like that. That is literally his origin. That is literally a story of like how he got as strong as he did. And he fought a crab that like literally is less than 5 minutes in like one episode that he talks about his origin of like how he became Saitama or how he became One Punch Man. All right. Genos then shows up and becomes his partner in like one of the episodes. Genos then tries to explain to him like his entire backstory, and he does like the whole thing. What is Saitama? The first thing he does, he stops him and he says, 10 words or less. Because he's like, no, I'm not here to listen to your entire backstory. That has nothing to do with me, and I'm not even part of whatsoever. So tell me your story, 10 words or less, or I'm not even going to listen to it.
Yeah, but I mean, Origin, I mean, it's like one of the easiest movies to do, though. So they really have no incentive to not keep doing that.
Well, I think we're all really, I'm assuming we're all really big comic nerds here, but a lot of people aren't going to know a lot of these origins unless it's someone like Superman. Like, you know,
that's what I was saying. I agree. Yeah.
But like,
I'm not saying that people don't know, like they do or don't know these origins. I'm saying if you're going to put the origins, I feel like if they're not going to have any bearing on the overall story, or like, or if they're just going to be like something that's thrown away halfway through the movie, then maybe they should be better.
Well, I mean, with most movies, usually the origin ends up tying into the end.
Yeah.
Usually. It's actually kind of cheap that they do that, frankly. But it's like, oh, the bad guy was actually the reason for them being a superhero in the first place or something. But and they didn't know it till the end of the movie. But like in Wonder Woman, like what her mother ends up telling her ends up affecting, you know, her Wonder Woman's fight with Ares. And a lot of people complain about the ending to that movie because it's the weakest element of it, but it does still end up tying into the end of the movie.
But see, this is why I feel like that, like, okay, I'm trying to think of like a movie, like no one knew who One Punch Man was, but he did that like quick 5-minute origin story of who he was, and no one seemed to care because like we're still invested in One Punch Man because he's still within the world too. You know what makes it work too is he shops in the world, like he's worried about making his paycheck. He has to, and being a hero is something different in that world because like you have to be registered and you have to like, so you are getting paid by the government to be a hero, right?
I think maybe things that are episodic you can do.
Yeah, but like
their origin story in stages, whereas a movie you kind of got a one and done it. Like, a lot of anime is like that. Like Trigun, you don't know who Vash is, right? For the longest time.
Yeah, no, and I agree. But like, One Punch Man didn't even like if One Punch Man were a movie, it would have like not even done it in a single episode. Like in this, it's a 5-minute part of one episode, right? Just give you an example.
Yeah.
So like,
I don't know.
Like in an hour and a half movie, if we were to like string it together, like one of the big things happen in an hour and a half movie. Oh, okay. He has like that 5-minute part, but the rest of the rest of the hour and 25 minutes is still dedicated to like what he's doing, whether it be shopping, stopping a villain, having the people hate him because he's not like an all-star hero, but he can like beat an all-star hero because he has like this one punch ability, things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hell, even the Joker. Okay, let's Batman 89. Joker. This is technically his origin story in Batman 89. Would you agree?
Yeah, it does show his origin. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that literally takes. It's literally just like one scene in a vat that takes only like 5 minutes. He goes in and he falls into a vat. There, we're done. He's the Joker now.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it that way for sure. Like Catwoman, right? In Returns, her origins, she gets pushed out of a window.
Like, we don't waste our time like trying to go over the entirety of like everything about their origin. Like, they give us little tidbits, and I think like movies have stopped doing that. Like, they have to over-explain everything now.
Well, people are, not everyone's as smart as you are. Sometimes.
But
spell it out for the general audience.
But again, I think that depends on the character and depends on how good their origin story is.
Yeah, like
some...
Swamp Thing. I was thinking about that. The one from the 80s. That whole movie is basically his origin story, right? But it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not origin stories that bothers me. I don't know.
It's more like the amount of the story that they take up, and I kind of get what your point is, right?
Like, I think my concern is if the origin doesn't feel like it's part of the overall story, and it's just kind of like, here's an aside thing we're going to waste like half an hour to an hour on before getting to the main plot.
Yeah, I get that.
Like if the origin was the main plot, then it wouldn't bother me so much. Although like the original Star Wars, A New Hope, right, where like it is Luke's origin of like how he joins like the Alliance, like how he joins the Resistance and all that stuff, right? Like that makes sense to me. But
that's like the best movie ever. So ever. I'll go on record saying that.
And then there's some characters you don't have to show their origin. Like you definitely two that you don't ever need to see. Probably won't need to see their origins in a movie form again for a long time. Would have to be like Spider-Man and Superman. How many times we've seen Superman's origin on screen? The original Superman movies, Lois and Clark, and then Smallville again. You know what I mean? And then they show it in flashbacks and other movies and stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can always just do like a 30-second scene of his ship coming down to Earth, and pretty much everyone will be up to speed on what that means. I
think there's a lot of characters that you could probably just get away with like little hints of that too. That like people just don't think about, like as an example, I would say like Doctor Strange. You could easily get like the car crash done in like the first, like during the opening scene of the movie, have the car crash, have him like have like flashbacks of him like training in like the ways of the magic, and then like it like flashes to him and like he wakes up like in a fluster of like a bad dream, as if like he's just remembering like how hard it was to train to be Doctor Strange. You know what I mean? I think people would then get the idea that, and like you could even have like him like this. You could see the scar on his hand, and then he puts the glove on, and he's like, you know what I mean? Like you get the idea of like what it was, how hard it was from him breaking his hands to like becoming Doctor Strange, and that alone. Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
I'm just using that as an example, but you know what I'm saying, right? He
just had to give up the time stone.
He did, didn't he?
Apparently he had to. I don't know. That's what he said. I guess I'll take his word for it. Everyone's trying to decide who they're maddest at, like Doctor Strange for giving up the time stone, or Quill for hitting Thanos, or like all the characters were making mistakes. Gamora for not like just telling everyone that she knew where the stone was.
Yeah.
I know something. You have to kill me if he asks. It's like, well, why don't you just tell us? Like, I don't know. No, it was pretty good though. But how did she not see that coming, that he was going to throw her off the cliff? Like, no.
Yeah, he was pretty committed to getting those stones.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had my problems with that movie. So,
I don't think it was that. I don't know. It seemed. Was it the pacing or something? It wasn't their best, I don't think.
Like, honestly, like we're not here really to talk about it. If you ever want to talk about it, sure, maybe I'll come back some other time. But it's just one of those things where I feel like it was more than just pacing. I feel like just some of the characterization felt off. Some of the things that I would have liked to see. And sure, I get it. Like Marvel wants to like. Whatever the Russo brothers wanted to tell, they told, I guess, what they wanted to tell. Or at least they say they did. So.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think a friend of mine once sent me a message trying to get me to like the movie more by saying, yeah, but see, the Russo brothers didn't want to retell the comics exactly. So that makes it better, right? And he sent me an interview with them, and I'm like, no. That doesn't make it any better or any worse. I still didn't like the movie. And,
it was strange.
Yeah. That's the only thing I wanted to say to him about, that's what I told him. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, I tried. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, I know he wanted me to like the movie, and I'm sorry they didn't like it, but it just wasn't my movie.
So, what do you guys like? All right, Batman Returns.
Yeah.
How are the penguins? How does he have an army of penguins? Are they like CGI
They were
or
circus
puppets?
penguins.
They're real?
Yeah, they were real penguins.
Yeah, they were real penguins. Yeah, like they actually had trained
Wow.
penguins.
They look real. Well, he's got a whole army of them in one scene, though, when he's giving them a speech.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is that the penguins were the ones who raised them until he got like raised by the circus.
Well, I got that.
Yeah.
But like they had real penguins in the movie. Those weren't.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Also, bomber penguin, because they had like the end of
Yeah.
the movie, they had like bombs and everything. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay. Like,
Yeah, there was no animal cruelty, you know, in this movie.
Nope.
You know.
No, well, to be fair, the bomber penguins are kamikaze penguins. They fired the missiles off their backs into us.
True.
And like that little dog that carried the grenade into the store, I thought it was going to blow up with it, but it runs out and then the store blows up.
Yeah.
In some ways, for as dark as it is, sometimes it pulled its punches too. Like when the circus gang has their ride at the beginning, they're shooting machine guns, but mostly in the air and stuff. Like they weren't really killing people.
Yeah.
Well, I think Batman's the
Except
one
for
that killed...
Batman killed so many people.
That's what I was going to say. Like he burns up that one guy, right? Like he turns the Batmobile around and torches him, and he puts the bomb on the other guy. I was like, Batman was killing more than the bad guys in that scene.
It's funny because like in '89, he goes out of his way not to kill people.
Well, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird in Batman Returns. It kind of bugs me because he's not consistent with his killing. Because he kills all those guys, but at the very end, he won't let Catwoman kill Shrek. He wants no, you can't kill him. You can't sink to his level. He's got to go to jail. Well, you just killed a bunch of guys, so what do you care for?
Well, it's Christopher Walken. I mean, good. Have him and play some other roles. You don't want to kill him.
Maybe we're working on cartoon logic, and if we didn't see the dead body, it doesn't count. Maybe that Batman's working off that logic.
It kind of seemed that way with the guy who blew up. Like it was sort of comical, but I was like, that guy's dead.
Yeah.
I love Batman's smile during that scene.
Right?
Like he has like this very evil grin. It's the only time in the movie. You're like,
well, he is kind of relishing it. Like the guy he burns up is like an ironic death. Like there's like, all right, motherfucker, you like some fire? I'll show you some fire. Like,
yeah.
He's like the Bat Punisher.
Right? Oh, there you go. That could be good.
Well, the Razorfist was actually just talking about this on Twitter the other day, that the executive producer for the movie was a huge fan of The Shadow. And Bill Finger used The Shadow as an inspiration for early Batman comics. So Tim Burton, he'd never read a comic book before. And so the executive producer that was a big Shadow fan, he only gave Tim Burton like the first year or so of Batman, when Batman was not afraid to just cap people all the time.
Well, so I mean, it's more than just the first year. There are a few like runs of Batman where he isn't afraid to kill people. You know what I mean? It all depends like which runs you're reading. Like in the older runs, there are some like where he is a bit more savage. It's not like he gets a Robin.
That's the face.
Yeah, that face.
Well, even in the more modern comics, I mean, there are some times where he kills guys, but it's almost in an inadvertent way.
Yeah. So, like the people who say, "Oh, well, Batman doesn't kill" or something like that. Sometimes there are some runs where he actually like where he's okay with it. Like there's been times where he's been okay with stretching that moral. Because like there's scenarios where like he'll run into somebody that's just that bad. Like he was actually willing to blow up Apocalypse at one point to kill like Darkseid because he knew Darkseid was just that bad.
Well, yeah, but that's not like killing a person.
That's not like killing a person.
No, he's a new god.
No,
he's
it's
not
the whole planet.
Well, those aren't humans either.
It's just a bunch of parademons. Let them die.
Yeah, it's okay. Not like there's like Mother Granny Goodness and like her Hell Furies and and sometimes depending on the time of the year you might have what's his name
the new Genesis guy.
Yeah, the new Genesis guy, and you might even have like also Doesn't like what's his name show up? The cowboy dude. I can't remember his name right now.
Oh yeah.
He shows up sometimes on
Are they with the Forever people?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Big Bear, and what is the cowboy's name? That bugs me. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I read any good Jack Kirby, but I know who you mean.
Yeah, like, okay, so, like, they could be there at this time, but, like, Batman's like, fuck it.
I know who you mean, though. I'm going to look that up. That was...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, though, you blow up Apocalypse. Like, come on. Why not?
Jonah Hex does sometimes show up on New Genesis, yes.
Well, there's Big Bear. Beautiful Dreamer was one of them.
Yeah, Beautiful Dreamer.
Mark Moonrider.
Mark Moonrider, that's what I was thinking of. And yes, Dave, Jonah Hex does sometimes show up on Genesis too.
Infinity Man, he was one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, Forever People's pretty good. Good stuff. Sorry, though, they got blown up because of Batman.
They could get blown up. Also, I want to point out, like, in Batman Returns, there's like this really great exploitable scene that I found. For anybody who wants to tweet, you can find it on my timeline. There's a tweet of like where Batman literally sends a note to Penguin, and he says, "Dear Penguin, your children regret they're unable to attend." Batman. The best part about this is all you have to do is color that white, and you can write whatever you want.
Yeah.
So
exploitable.
Like, I already got people who exploited it. Actually, like, you go. Indie Dave actually exploited it. He says, "Robin, don't forget to polish the giant penny and dust the Tyrannosaurus. Also, make sure Alfred takes his meds. We don't want another Batgirl incident."
Oh, I don't even want to know.
Cold-blooded.
Like, it's way too exploitable.
You always find stuff that we can make into good memes, though.
Oh, I do. Yeah,
like the Richard Myers meme, right? It was a bad idea. You made the template for that.
I did. That's been used in so many things.
For real. That one actually went viral, I think.
Yeah, that was a funny one, though. That was funny.
Oh, yeah. Switchpoint's a meme lord. He always makes good ones.
Oh, yeah. I put up, like, here, if anyone wants to follow me on Twitter, and I always put up, like, templates for people to use for their memes and stuff like that. I always make, like, remove backgrounds or remove certain parts of images so that they're easily exploitable.
It's the way to do it.
Yep. So I don't know. Like, who else was hoping that Max Schreck wasn't actually going to be Max Schreck, and they were hoping it was Max Lord as like a callback to another DC character?
I kind of thought that when I first saw the movie, but
yeah,
Max Lord wasn't a bad guy then, though.
I mean, like, you could have made some liberties, right? Like, because like at this point, this is a one-off movie anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
he doesn't have an analog in the comics, right?
Oh yeah, like,
until that movie. I don't know if he did or not, but
well, he didn't. He wasn't a villain until which Crisis was that he turned out to be?
No, I mean Max Schreck.
Oh,
like
well, he was an original character.
Yeah,
like he was an original character for this movie. And I like his character. Like it's a cool idea because like he's the business mogul like that was causing everything to happen. I guess alternatively you could have gone with who was it? I was thinking of like not Atlas. Was it Atlas I was thinking of?
I don't know.
So there's like a weird like form-based villain for like Batman who has like thunder powers and stuff like that, but like he also has like a business. He's like a business owner.
Zeus, Maxi Zeus.
Yeah, you could have gone with like Maxi Zeus. Actually, you could have been Maxi. You could have been Maxi Zeus technically. I mean, his name is Max, right?
Yeah, Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask. Never a possibility. But.
I guess he couldn't be too powerful though, because Penguin needed to be able to blackmail him and like.
Well, no, this could have been before he had his powers.
Oh, okay, yeah, good idea.
Yeah, like that. For all you know, that taser at the end could have been like what made Max into Maxi Zeus. Right.
A reason not to.
Yeah.
It's comics.
So when you guys watch those older movies, do you think they nailed the character of Batman, or do you think they were all kind of off?
I think they're very Tim Burton.
Certainly with the Tim Burton ones, I guess he was setting people on fire pretty good. That was a little off for character. And when he blew up that whole factory in the first one.
Yeah, in the first one, with all those henchmen, he blew up the factory, yeah.
Yeah, he just the machine guns come out of the Batmobile and just cut a hole through the door, and then he goes in there and blows up everyone, like a whole factory full of people. Like, who knows? We could blame some of the cleaning ladies in the offices.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to break some eggs to make an omelet, right?
Yeah, well, they were probably evil anyway if they were in there.
They're evil cleaning ladies. They weren't contractors behind things.
So I wanna say, like, I liked Michael Keaton as Batman. I thought he was perfectly fine. Actually, I do prefer him over. I'll honestly say I think I prefer him over Christian Bale. And whether I prefer him over Ben Affleck or not is a debate, because like we really only ever have like that one movie with Ben Affleck. So I really don't know.
Well,
Justice League and
I'll go into
like
Justice League.
He's in Suicide Squad a little bit.
Yeah.
So far I'll say he's better than Ben Affleck, but I think that's not Ben Affleck's choice. I think that's just because the movies Ben Affleck in are not as good. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben Affleck hasn't had a chance to actually do a proper Batman movie because it's been all crossover movies.
Yeah. So until he gets like a proper like outing, I don't want to make a judgment on Ben, because like he's a very good actor. So, you know, and I want to see him. I think he was the best part of Batman v Superman.
Wonder Woman. She's always the best part.
She's always the best part. You know, she's wearing those leotards and jumping in to save the day.
Oh man, well, you could tell when Joss Whedon took over, right, in Justice League, and they always film her from the like behind and down. If you look at the way she's filmed in BVS compared to Justice League, it's very different. Only her too. It's always like very gratuitous. Like, remember when she's on the street talking to Cyborg, and it's just like the camera's level with her butt. I'm like, what? Like, it's not how you film a conversation.
But don't you understand? Joss Whedon is the feminist, and he knows what he's doing, even though, like,
Gal said she much preferred when Scott Snyder was the director.
Well, not only her, Zack Snyder. Apparently, even the guy playing Cyborg also liked him better.
Oh yeah, what is his name? Fisher or something? Fisher.
Yeah.
That's his name. He's a good actor. Yeah, but they cut like half or more of his scenes, which is bullshit.
Like, well, because he refused to do certain scenes. Ray Fisher refused.
Really?
Yeah, like he actually stood in defiance of he stood in defiance of Joss Whedon, and not because like he hated Joss Whedon. I think he just disliked the fact that like they took the movie away from Zack Snyder, because he was I think he's a big Zack Snyder fan. I'm not sure.
I believe it.
Yeah, and there's also like a lot of things. The funny thing is, like, the Zack Snyder cut, I don't know if it would have been any better or any worse, but it did sound like it was going to answer a lot of the questions that people had between like the first two movies. And like wrap things up at least to some degree. And I guess they just said, screw it. Joss Whedon.
It would have made more sense just to, for continuity's sake, to have the same guy finish it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well.
Yeah. Officially, he stepped away from filming due to his daughter committing suicide, which is very sad. But
yeah.
That's the story that they peddle, and it is very sad. But that's the story they peddle. But that's funny because I don't think Zack Snyder actually ever confirmed it.
I don't know.
It did kind of sound like one of those things that it was. Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah, and because like his daughter had died a few months before, like it was not like she had just recently, like a few months before. So it was like this seems a little off. Something's going on here, you know? Like,
maybe they wanted him out, and that was a way for him to save face. Just not as an excuse, but you know what I mean.
Like, well, honestly, I don't know the full details. I just know that, and I'm not trying to create conspiracy theories. Honestly, I'm not trying to, because it could just all of it be true and just kind of like all the weird conspiracy theory kind of lined up. But what it sounds like to me, what it sounds like to me is that DC wanted to, like, not DC, Warner Brothers, sorry, wanted to get rid of Zack as soon as possible and just use that as an excuse. And as much as people like say, oh yeah, trauma does take time, and I agree, trauma does take time. Snyder is not known for like letting a project go. He is, even like when things are going bad in his life, he tries to finish a project before taking personal time. That's always just kind of been his way. So it does seem very out of character for him, and that's why a lot of people are like questioning whether or not it was actually whether or not it actually happened the way it did or didn't. But like, by all means, I hope it's I hope maybe down the line DC will release the Snyder Cut, maybe, just so we can like at least get that question answered of what it would have been like. You know,
I don't think it's gonna happen, but maybe. I mean, the Richard Donner cut came out like what 20 years or more after the first one.
Yeah,
or after Superman 2.
Yeah, I have that one on DVD, the Donner cut.
Do you prefer it?
Well, it's the way they describe it. It's not an exact. It's an approximation, he says, of what he wanted, because he wasn't finished filming the scene, so they had to fill in a few scenes with like test screenings and stuff like that. So it's, I don't know. I kind of like. There's stuff I like about Superman, the original version of Superman 2 and the Donner cut. Like if they could have maybe like swapped a few parts around to make it more of like more of an ultimate cut or something. But like the one thing I liked about the one thing I didn't like about the Donner cut is he reverses time again at the end of it. So they just reused the same ending from the first one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which I prefer the ending, the original ending that they had for the Lester, the guy that did his last name was Lester. I can't remember. It's the director there that
Richard, right?
Richard Lester, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad they didn't just let Richard Donner do it all. Didn't he have like 4 or more planned already? I mean, they ultimately did 4, but imagine if Richard Donner had done them all.
Yeah, that would have been interesting to see. Yeah,
that would have been great, I think. Did you ever read any of the comics he's written, Richard Donner?
No, I didn't even know he wrote any comics.
Yeah, it's pretty good. What do you do with some Bizarro stuff is what I read. Escape from Bizarro World was collected into a trade.
Oh, wow. I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then he did some other stuff too with Jeff Johns. I can't remember what offhand, more Superman stuff, but yeah, I found his writing to be really good too. Of course, he understands Superman, so it makes sense.
Definitely. Okay, so I have a question for you guys, since we're on the Batman topic. So do you prefer the Jack Nicholson Joker, or do you prefer the Heath Ledger?
I like how you didn't even ask about Jared Leto.
I think it's okay. Honestly, I want Jared Leto to be a good Joker. I think he is the decent choice for the role.
He just didn't have the damaged tattoo on his forehead. Like, that's such an emo, like, freaking, what is he, 15? Like, dude, come on. Fucking man up and be the Joker. Like, Jack Nicholson was so suave. Like, gosh, damaged on your forehead. Like, oh my God.
So for people who are saying Mark Hamill, he's not part of this contest. If we're throwing in Mark Hamill, everyone's going to say Mark Hamill. So yeah, I'm asking about the live action Jokers here. Just to get their chat out of the way of that, and I'm gonna say Jack Nicholson.
Well, they're pretty close for me. Like Heath Ledger's a bit more grounded, I guess, Joker. But the one thing I like about the Nicholson Joker is he has the best one-liners over the Heath Ledger one for sure. But Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it's kind of because they're pretty different. They're very portrayed very differently. So it's kind of a toss up for me. It's really hard to pick one or the other. But I like because there's a lot of that nostalgic feel, like still with the Nicholson Joker that, so maybe, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough question. They're both pretty good. They're different, but
you got to pick one though.
Like,
it's a tough question.
So the reason, okay, so I can honestly back up why I choose Jack Nicholson very well, because here's the thing. Ledger just feels just like crazy for the sake of crazy. He's just like some weird random homeless guy who decided that he wanted to fight the Batman one day.
His plans succeed, though.
Oh, no, I'm not arguing that his plans don't succeed.
Like, he couldn't be totally crazy.
Joker other than just a name to me, though.
Sorry, what?
He just doesn't feel like Joker other than just a name to me, though.
Oh.
Like, no offense or anything to like Heath Ledger. He did a fine job. Like, I like his acting and I like him in the role, but other than the pencil joke, what other jokes did he make?
It's so hard to remember right now. He was just great, though, like the way he talked and stuff. And when he blew up the hospital and came out with his like nurse outfit and his thing doesn't work to blow it up, the trigger, that was kind of a joke.
I guess. I mean, like, what I like about like the Jack Nicholson one is like he's unabashedly really into the Joker role.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Like,
they're both really good.
Yeah, like what I like about Jack Nicholson, like that painting scene where he comes into the art museum, literally they're like breaking all the statues, they're like painting over the paintings.
Yeah, all the graffiti and shit.
Yeah, like, and then you have like the scene where he's out and partying and he's like throwing money at everybody, or when he like hacks into like the radio signal and he's like, "Now everyone, don't try brand X. That's frowned on your on you, but Joker brand, I get a smile every time." Right? Like,
he was more jokery, huh?
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Well, I'll go with Nicholson then. You make a good argument. I mean, those are my two favorite anyway. So.
Yeah. I maybe like it. And yeah, I'm probably gonna go with Nicholson too. Probably just edge, but
that was persuasive.
Yeah.
Nothing against Heath Ledger, but like Heath Ledger it's just that there's no joke to the Joker. It's more of the anarchist, like somebody said from the chat. Yes, is the anarchist. But the problem is, like Heath Ledger was not afraid to do the anarchist thing. Jack Nicholson wasn't afraid of doing the anarchist thing either. Literally had poison chemicals in all your like regular used items, and he's just like, I'm not even going to tell you which ones not to use. Have fun figuring it out. Like,
the whole city's all stinky and gross.
Yeah. Then there's a whole scenario where he like literally gases the entire art museum before getting on in there. He goes up to the lady, he's like, "I think you can take the mask off now." Right? Like, or like when he's doing the money thing, the free money. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's just giving us free money." It's like, wow, you're a bunch of idiots. I was literally going to kill you as soon as you took the free money.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't care. And then there's that wonderful scene where he goes in to see his old boss, and he's just like, "Oh, Jack's dead. I'm the Joker."
His boss that looks like Clint Eastwood, but isn't Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Who that actor is?
That's Jack Palance.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good scene too. That was a good Joker scene.
Oh yeah.
With the joy buzzer, and he sets the dude on fire.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that scene.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. That was the Joker.
Oh, Bob, you are my number one guy. Bob and Joker, OTP. Sorry, Harley. Bob was there first.
Yeah, it's true, Bob.
I say it doesn't matter because Joaquin Phoenix is going to blow them all out of the water.
Oy. They did, what was it, a Fandango poll, and the Joker was their most highly anticipated movie for 2019. I was like, really? It was supposed to come out in 2019. Maybe it was 2020. But in any case, it won the poll.
I'm not even sure if I'm excited for that movie or not. Like, it looks interesting, but I'm not sure if I feel like it's, you know what I mean?
I don't really, I don't like the origin they're going with that he was a failed comedian. Just from what I read in the news, I kind of like it, the origin where he was always a criminal and then he just went more insane after he became the Joker.
I always like the origin of like the mystery origin of like we never really knew. That's one thing I liked with the Heath Ledger one and was in the comics as well, where we just never really knew his origin because even like the Joker doesn't remember it because he's been just so insane for all his life that he's just kind of like he's too engulfed in the joke to care, you know.
Yeah, it does he'd be a career criminal, but actually, even in the Killing Joke, there are these, they're the two mobsters that are helping the Joker to rob Ace Chemical Factory.
Mhm.
And if you look closely at one of them, he actually looks much more like the Joker than the character that's supposed to be the Joker.
Actually, in that comic, he actually does say, "Who really knows what my origin is? I like to play multiple choice." Right?
Yeah.
Hinting that like he might even be remembering it all wrong himself.
Yeah, it's a very self-serving origin if it's true, but
and that's kind of one of my favorite ones. Like even in a recent DC like mini, like remember those minis they would release that would show you like the 3-4 page like origin of each of the villains that Batman had.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, Joker had one in one of them, and Joker's like, "Oh, you want one of my origin stories? Well, pick one. Pick a card. You have 4 to choose." And like he, in each one, it's like maybe I was a crime boss at one point, and then I just kind of got a little crazy. How about, that one time I was a failed comedian. Things got a little out of hand. Ended up with the wrong folks. Or maybe there's this one. Like he's like, honestly, I don't even remember myself.
And DC's really embraced that since isn't there multiple Jokers now? Or
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, I don't really get how this Joker movie is going to tie into the DC. I don't get it at all. I don't know what they're doing.
I think it's actually supposed to be like self-contained, actually, because I think it's supposed to tie into the. I think it's supposed to tie into
Birds of Prey or something.
No, not Birds of Prey. I think it's supposed to tie to the Christopher Nolan verse of the Batman.
That seems unlikely.
He's wearing the same outfit though.
Sort of.
But he looks like Nurkish.
Yeah.
Like if you put Nurkish in his dad's suit, that's what the Joaquin Phoenix Joker looks like.
Well, I mean, Nurkish wishes he could walk well enough to actually be in the role.
Damn.
So
I don't even know. I
He
just know he has the clown makeup.
No, Nurkish can't. Nurkish is in a wheelchair. Yeah. I'm joking. I'm making fun of Nurkish on. He constantly says how he's in a wheelchair.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Yeah, I'm just poking fun at him. Don't worry.
That's the way to be.
Yeah,
I'm sure if anyone can take it, it'd be him. He's a jokester.
Oh, Nurkish is a fine dude. I mean, I'm sure if I would ever like speak with him, it would have a good time together. He just no hate on Nurkish. No hate on Nurkish. Just poking fun at you because it's an easy target.
Low-hanging fruit.
Exactly.
I do think the clown makeup looks like they copied him, though. He's even got the same pattern, right? The Joker.
Yeah, he does.
With the diamond. Yeah, the diamonds on his eyes. I'm pretty sure they're lurking on Twitter, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's got a good look."
Wouldn't it be nice if they brought that back, though? That was a fun Batman stories, the Nolan ones. The Christopher Bale Batman ones were good, man. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I like the Christian Bale ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's my second favorite after Michael Keaton.
The chat's mad at you, Switchpoint.
Don't worry, I could use a Kickstarter my car.
They're saying kick Switchpoint.
Well, okay, well, and Venom, if you guys want to help me kickstart my car, don't worry.
All right.
I'll know who to call.
Jump.
Yeah, you never know. If I ever need one, I know who to call.
Watch it.
I've heard of Kick Nasser. I never heard of Kick Switchpoint before.
I think they like me making fun of Nurkish. It's okay.
Oh, right. Yeah, you got to be.
You're right. It is a bad joke, but it's better turning the joke around than these guys.
That's all good.
Also, I mean, Chun-Li's high kicks, those are delicious.
Oh yeah, them thighs.
All right. I mean, if we're on the subject of kicks, also Catwoman had some pretty nice kicks in the Batman Returns.
Even though she was wearing like 6-inch heels, yeah.
Yeah.
She was too deadly in that one.
Well, I like that the that in that movie she was not afraid to use her sexual appeal to like really try to get at Batman.
And
like,
Penguin.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like, and it works because like it's one of those things where he didn't know why, but he was infatuated with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And
yeah, he likes her every version of her.
Yeah, and
who wouldn't be though? Really?
well, and well, it's funny because like there's also those scenes that remind us that Batman can be like tricked for only so far.
Mm-hmm.
So, like as soon as she tries her best, to like as soon as she tries to own it, like she tries to own him in the fight, because I tricked you with my with my womanly wiles. Now I'm gonna like gut stab you or whatever. Batman's like, oh, that's right, she's a villain. Okay.
Like, isn't there a part where he says taste the floor and just like slams her into the ground?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he tells her eat floor high in
eat
fiber.
Floor, that's what it was.
Yeah, eat floor high in fiber.
Right?
Yeah.
I know they play it off as a joke. It's high in fiber. You just slammed her into the floor. Oh, and she really plays the woman card too. Like, how could you? I'm a woman. And he's like, I'm sorry. And then she hits him.
Oh God. She's not afraid to like just be as dirty as possible. And then and like another one of my scenes is because when she first shows up on the scene, we're not sure if she's a good guy or a bad guy because she takes out the thug, that penguin thug, right? Mm-hmm. But then she's just like, she goes up to the lady, she literally like puts her claws around the girl and she says, it's like bitch, no, I'm just here to test out shit. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, she's kind of a conflicted character because she kind of flips back and forth between kind of being good and kind of being bad.
Yeah. Like, I think that's probably one of my favorite parts about her, though, is just that, like, they were really good at giving that duality to her. Hell, when she's, like, at the party and she tells, like, Bruce that she's going to kill Max, Bruce is like, what the fuck? Where did the gun come from?
She really played that well, too.
Yeah, Catwoman was definitely the best thing about Batman Returns.
Yeah, she was one of the better parts of that movie. Like, her and Michael also had like really good chemistry together. Her and Michael Keaton.
I mean, just having Christopher Walken in anything's entertaining. Just listening to him, just talk. Doesn't even matter what he's saying.
I think that was like the least random I've ever seen Christopher Walken be. Right? Actually,
like he stuck to that script and was like on character.
Because, like, you know, in, like, most movies he's in, there's, like, always that one scene somewhere in the movie where he'll just say something random that you know has nothing to do with the movie.
He didn't go full Walken in this one.
He never went full Walken. I was surprised. I was like, what?
I still enjoyed it, though.
Oh, no. It's, I think the best part is, like, when his son comes in and tries to talk like him.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have, because they have the actor who playing his son, Chip, and he's just like, hey, Dad, are you ready to go to the party? I'm like, oh, man. Oh, Chip, you're trying.
He got what he was going for. And then he sacked, doesn't he? Does he die or not?
No.
Because he steps in place.
Yeah, Penguin comes to kill Chip. Like, he comes to kidnap Chip and kill him like he's going to do with all the firstborn sons of Gotham.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then Max is like, you don't want to take my son. You want to take me. I'm the one that you're angry at. And then he's just like, you're right, cool. Max. Huh?
And Chip had, like, saved him earlier.
Yeah, Chip did save him earlier when at the beginning of the movie. Like, it's probably, like, the only time Max is actually, like, a good person. It's my son. I actually care.
Yeah, they kind of had a subplot in that movie that kind of went nowhere about them sucking power from the city and reselling it, but it just didn't go anywhere. They're going to turn a new energy plant into a capacitor, because that's why he originally pushed Selena Kyle out the window, because she found those files about that. But then you never heard of that after. It's just kind of went away.
Well,
and they brought in Penguin and he ran for mayor and all that.
He and Bruce Wayne have a meeting about it after, but yeah, that's about it, I think, right?
Yeah, like after well, Selina is going to kill him over it at the end of the movie, but then like Penguin kidnaps him, and it's just like the penultimate Penguin arc at the end there. So yeah, that never gets wrapped up.
That is weird.
Did Chip grow up to become the in a perfect world? Maybe he did. Maybe he made maybe he didn't make the mistakes his father did, and he became a good man with a Christopher Walken accent. I'd be okay with that.
Do worse. Better than the Penguin.
But I gotta say, there's one thing about that movie, about the Penguin, that really annoys me every time I watch that movie, and that's all the blue crap he spits up throughout the whole movie. That drives me insane.
I thought it was black. You mean the stuff like is from his lips?
Yeah, it's like blue.
Yeah, he's always got that grossness, like
spitting up
out of his mouth.
Yeah. I always thought it was like, I thought it was always just like a blackish blue. Like I thought that was supposed to be blood or something.
It's just like this weird bile he like spits. They don't ever explain it, but yeah, it just adds to his creepy and weirdness.
I mean, I have to say, like the prosthetics that they used to make like the flipper and like to make that nose and all that stuff, though, that was impressive.
Yeah, it was spot on.
Oh yeah,
gross.
So I wonder why they went that route and made him more like a mutant. Where in the comics he's just like a regular guy. Like a regular mobster. I wonder why
I feel like this is a Tim Burton thing.
Oh yeah, like Edward Scissorhands and all that. It's kind of a theme with him, right?
Yeah, like I feel like it's just. I feel like it's Tim Burton being like, "This is my Tim Burton thing for this film." Like,
I think you're right. Actually, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I was okay with it, but I did find it funny to the point where it's like, because like they fully play to the Penguin bit where it's just like Max comes in with a raw fish later, and he's just like, "Yeah, want it."
Like, yeah, isn't that how he lures him down the stairs?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
with a fish. Like, is this guy smart or not? Like, he can have all the fish he wants already.
And it's a weird movie too, because it's dark on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's still like it's got a lot of campiness in it.
Mm-hmm. Little jokes and stuff.
Yeah, like where he's controlling the Batmobile and he's in that little like mock-up of the Batmobile inside of his mayor's van trailer there.
Actually, funny enough, somebody actually did not like the fact that the circus folk that like hacked Batman's car never got their upcomings in the movie. Like, that's what they tweeted to me when I was like watching it live.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, like, they actually never do, because when Batman goes to like the lair to capture the Penguin or kill him or whatever he does, like we know he dies at the end. Spoiler, but they run away.
One of them does, though, because Penguin kills him himself earlier, right?
Yeah, Penguin's, the guy's like, but Penguin, they're kids or whatever, and Penguin's like, screw you, and shoots him with the umbrella gun.
Yeah, like he kills one. Batman captures some of the ones that were on the train, the ones that had the train to go pick up the kids. But the other ones that are still at the lair literally run away as soon as they realize Batman's on his way.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, a couple of the guys, and then the girl that's doing the announcements that had the poodle, she backs away and disappears.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
for some reason, she was like the more endearing one, though. Like, I didn't think she was quite as bad as the others. I don't know.
Her poodle literally used a bomb, like at a toy store.
That's true. I don't know.
And how did they get the blueprints to the Batmobile in the first place? Like, they just have it somehow magically.
Like, I don't know.
Or like the ability or technical know-how to do that. They've been living in the sewer this whole time.
Well, no, they're circus folk. They're crafty.
Yeah, they know all about Batmobiles.
You know,
one of a kind.
Really.
Like, you know, the one thing that would have been interesting is like if like we had like a little hint that one of them knew Croc. That would have been actually kind of cool. Like, because well, they're all circus folk, and Croc used to be a circus guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and they live in the sewer too.
Mm-hmm.
They already had a couple of villains, though. I guess it was pretty ambitious on villains for the time.
Funny enough, okay, we have Penguin, but we're literally using Croc's origin.
Right?
If you think about it, that's actually what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Straight up what he did, huh?
Yeah,
I never even thought about that.
brilliant.
Like,
but it's a nice looking movie, like the sets and sound and the music and stuff. That part of the movie I really like about Batman Returns.
The music is really good.
The music is amazing. Like I said, I miss those old practical effects, like of the Tim Burton movies, of even the Batman Forever and Batman Batman and Robin. Like, they were all practical effects. So like, even watching them today, they still look pretty good. Like, even those two movies, even if they're not as good. And that's just because like a lot of the stuff was like built to be on set to look like it like belonged there. Like
Batman and Robin, a lot of the stuff was made to be like a play set. Like,
they do. They have some impressive sets in Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
I love how like the city in Batman and Robin and in Batman Forever just like for some reason feels like 300 times bigger than like the Batman and Batman Returns. It's like, here's this giant statue. Literally, you're like the size of your characters are like about half the eye of the statue. Like, who built this statue in the middle of Gotham? And
they're driving on it.
Yeah, and they're driving on it to go after like Mr. Freeze. And I'm like, what is even this?
Yeah, no, that is a good point though. The cities do feel a lot more opened up in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
I think because in the original Batman '89 Batman and Batman Returns, it was a lot of sets. Like, so they built like full size city sets, so they only had maybe like a couple blocks to work with, because you always see the same theater. Like, you watch Batman '89, how many times you see the same theater in the scene, right? So it's everyone seems to hang out in one spot in town there.
Yeah, and. Yeah, Greg is right. Batman Forever was the first time to use a CGI stuntman, but they were very they were not liberal with it. They were very conservative with using the CGI as much as possible because they wanted to try to use as much of the practical effects as they could. You could tell. So the only time, Go ahead.
Oh, it was just the CGI wasn't really great back then either. So you wanted to use it as sparingly as possible, I imagine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like it was the 90s, but. I will definitely give them. I'm going to definitely give them credit where credit's due here, because I mean, I want to see those practical designs come back. I want to see that effort in movies again. You know, because we go back and we see any of these older movies and they use so much CGI in them. Like right now these days, some of them just don't look as good as they did when they first came out in theaters.
Well, there's to give one example of a movie that I watched recently, and where it's a lot of heavy CGI, it does not age well at all, and that's Attack of the Clones.
Oh, for sure. Oh man, those prequel movies are just painful.
Even going back to watch the first Iron Man, sometimes you'll notice some really, really wonky CGI now because we've gotten much better with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in a short time.
Yeah. Think about that. That's just ridiculous, right? Just in such a short time. I'll give them this much though. With the Iron Man, they tried to create these weird prosthetics to put around Robert Downey Jr. to try to make it look more, more realistic for as much as possible. And I get Iron Man. You're going to have to use CGI. There's no way around it. Yeah.
But I think in the first, well, I'm not sure about the more recent movies, but I'm pretty sure in some of the early Iron Man movies, he did have an actual practical suit for certain scenes, didn't he?
He did for certain, yeah. For certain scenes, yeah, he did. It wasn't a full-on suit though. It was so you'd have an upper torso bit for when the helmets opened up, kind of thing, when he's talking to people, and I think he even had one with a closed helmet for when he had to talk, and so then he would do the voice subs afterwards, things like that. But he didn't have it was only upper body and some arm pieces for if he needed to move his hands for talking. But then it's just the rest of the suit was a CGI build, and then they would have an exoskeleton just to kind of know where the CGI would go over the suit, kind of thing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of talk about it in the extra features in some of the movies, particularly Iron Man 2 does.
It's hard to do the suits CGI too, like we saw with Green Lantern.
Yeah.
That's 2011. Oof.
Yeah.
You see why they just put Henry Cavill in a regular costume and put CGI around him.
Well, I think Green Lantern would have been a better movie had it been a practical suit.
Yeah.
And they could have just used CGI to make it look tighter or whatever that they wanted to.
Yeah.
Like CGI should never be your primary source. It should just be an enhancer. That's the way I've always looked at it. Like it should help you enhance what's already there. It shouldn't be the primary source of what's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to fill in for things you can't do any other way.
Yeah.
That'd be ideal. I don't know. It's gotten to be a real crutch where movies are completely made in CGI.
Don't you like CGI Avengers? I don't know.
I don't know. They do a pretty good job.
Did you ever hear about the Thing movie that they did in I don't know, a couple years ago, and the controversy with the effects about that?
Oh, they actually were going to use practical special effects for it, and then they, for some reason, the powers that be said no, we want CGI effects. And
and the special effects creators talked about it and about how they had made it so that when the Thing first debuts in the movie, like the full-on creature, when and he's gonna like burst forward from some human, and they create this really intricate prosthetic / prop for it, and the director looks at it and he's like, whoa, wait a minute, this only works when you film it from exactly the right angle. And they're like, well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You have to craft the shot around special effect. And the modern movies just aren't made like that. It's like they just kind of pan around a lot, and then they just fix all of the problems in post-production. So, like, because it's not necessarily easier or cheaper to use CGI over practical, and it actually can be a huge pain in the ass in certain ways. But that's what it allows you to do. It allows you to essentially just film it in a much more cavalier fashion, and basically allows arguably laziness from the production crew. And then they just have this attitude. It's like, okay, we just fix all the problems in CGI in post-production instead of carefully crafting the various scenes around these big effects.
It ends up eating up a lot of their budget too. Like you see the credits at the end of the movie, and it's so many special effects editors. And
well, think of how many animators they have to hire to animate all those CGI shots too. It's a lot of guys.
Funny enough, I mean, like, it's weird because, okay, so I watched that movie because, like, I like John Carpenter's A Thing. The only thing, like, I know it's a prequel to John Carpenter's A Thing. Honestly, the only thing it made me want to do is watch John Carpenter's The Thing. So I literally immediately right after watching it went to watch John Carpenter's The Thing.
Which still holds up pretty well.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah, I'm a big fan of the original Thing. I like the prequel too. I didn't mind it. I did like it, but yeah, I'm a big fan of the original one. I've seen it like countless times. The original.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like I didn't mind this prequel movie. Like it was all right, but it just didn't have that magic of the original. You know what I mean? Like
no.
And it was still fun. It was fine. It would have probably been better if they used those practical effects like the creators wanted to originally do. But yeah, it was such a fun movie though. Like it was, I think it was just fun to see. Like I think the thing that made me love the movie more, not the John Carpenter's The Thing, but just this movie the more, was the fact that John Carpenter was finally getting recognition for his version of The Thing. Because when his movie first came out, it got panned really badly. Like, and he didn't deserve that because that movie was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
And you had these people then saying, "Oh well." Like reviewers and stuff like that, like in theaters it didn't do so well because reviewers were giving it bad scores and all that stuff, and you're like, yeah, but like this movie is actually really fun, really good, and you can definitely see the artistic value here. And then when this new Thing version came out, like that was a prequel, you had these directors saying those reviews were wrong. You had the like saying like those reviews are wrong. We want to do that movie justice. We think people should see that movie before seeing ours, like all that kind of stuff. So as bad as you think like this prequel movie is, like at least thank them for saying, hey guys, John Carpenter actually made something awesome.
Yeah, no, it always definitely helps when they show some respect to what came before.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of that now with like shows that come out now that where they reboot something, they crap all over the original, and then they expect to win over fans of the original somehow. Like it's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, Kurt Russell is pretty awesome.
Now I haven't seen. Has anyone seen like the 1950s version of the Thing?
You know what? It's actually on my list of movies I need to watch.
Because like I've read the short story that it was based on called Who Goes There. I've read that short story, and John Carpenter's version of the Thing is very close to the short story. Heard it's closer than what the 1950s version is.
That's what I hear. So I'm gonna like it is on my list to watch it though because I want to see it just to kind of see the comparison between John Carpenter's version and that original version, and of course as comparison to like which parts of the story the original adapted as compared to like what John Carpenter adapted. Because I know he didn't adapt the complete story. He adapted most of it and like all the key elements that were very important to it, and you can tell. But I mean, like it's what you get from a movie, right? Like you can't adapt everything from a novel. You can only adapt so much, right? But yeah, like I do want to see the original 1950s one. I am looking forward to seeing it. Then,
yeah, I just saw in the chat there someone said the 1950s version of the Thing doesn't have the body stealing element, which the 1982 version does.
Well, I mean, with effects back in that day, I don't think you'd probably be able to do as much.
No, so that's something that was in the original short story was that it was like absorbing guys, like in the
yeah.
So that's one they were able to do in the 82 version.
Cool. Also, did anyone? Okay, so a little off topic, but has anyone seen that new Kurt Russell movie, the Christmas one that he did, the Santa Claus one?
No, I haven't seen that one. No.
It's called like the Christmas Chronicles. It's like on Netflix, I think. I think it was Kurt Russell that played Santa Claus in that.
Oh, we got a question from the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, so Greg or Craig says, "Cool. How would you rank the Batman movie villains?" I guess just from the 4 movies we've talked so far, I'd say. For me, probably, man, that's a tough one. I guess the Joker would be the top one. And then, what do you guys think? I have to think about this one.
Yeah, the version from these 4 movies, Alfred is the best Alfred. Go is like just an amazing Alfred. I don't care. He has that like English posh that like Alfred is supposed to have, and it's wonderful.
That's the second question. Is the favorite Alfred?
Yeah, I would have to say it would be the Joker, and then Catwoman, and then from there on down. I know it's tough. It's tough. So I don't really care for too many of the other villains after that.
No love for Penguin, huh?
Yeah, he's not bad, but it's the blue thing. It's the blue stuff that like drives me nuts. Every time I watch it, it's like, oh, like come on.
Like he has ink in his mouth or something.
Yeah, it's like that's exactly what it looks like, ink or something in his mouth. Because Tommy Lee Jones, he's like way too over the top as Two-Face.
Poison Ivy's pretty good.
Actually, I know I don't like him with her as Poison Ivy. No, I thought she was not a good choice for that role, in my opinion.
Maybe it's just compared to the others.
Maybe. Well, okay, so if we're gonna go with it, I'm gonna go Joker equals Catwoman because I like both of those. They both have really got into the roles, you can tell. Then it would probably be. Then I would say Penguin. Then it would probably be a 3-way tie between Mr. Freeze, Jim Carrey as Riddler, and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, because I do like the chemistry between like Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey, even though like they overact in that movie.
Yeah, they do a lot, big time.
Yeah. And but I also do like for last, I'm gonna put like in the last. I'm gonna put Max Shrek, then finally Poison Ivy. That's right. Max wins that over Poison Ivy.
Man.
That's fine.
And Bane doesn't even get him.
Yeah.
No, Bane is even below Poison Ivy.
So how do you think
He's a
it
sure
would have?
driver.
How do you think Forever would have played out if they had gotten back Billy D. Williams as Two-Face and they actually got Robin Williams as the Riddler?
Well, I mean, at that point, are we expecting like Marlon Wayne playing like Robin as well?
Yeah, that's right too. He was up for Robin. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
It kind of sounds better, I think.
It could have been a better movie, actually.
Yeah,
Honestly, I might have
it's really
actually.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, I still like Tommy Lee Jones. I think he was a good choice to play Two-Face. It's not like I think what it was is I think it's just the direction the movie wanted to go to. They kind of like hurt a lot of things.
Well, they just didn't get the
Well, he's a
character.
good
I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good actor, but I don't think they just didn't get the character.
Well, okay, so Greg or Craig, Marlon Wayans was actually meant to be in Batman Returns, but they, due to production reasons, he actually didn't make it for Returns and was told to hold over for forever because the movies were always slated to be a trilogy. Yeah, so that's actually why he wasn't in Returns. They were like, "Oh, we have too many people in cast as it is. We'll get you in forever."
Interesting.
Yep.
Dang, and he didn't get that either.
Now, didn't they actually have a Robin suit design for Returns?
I think they did actually. Yeah.
Because wasn't that the? Didn't they recycle some of that designs for the Robin that appeared in the 90s? I can't remember. It's Tim Drake Robin.
I think they did. So what was going to happen is, as Craig or Greg is saying, they were going to have him help Batman fix up the Batmobile at one point in the movie. And that's kind of it was his hint of somebody Batman could watch to maybe help later on. And then he was going to probably most likely be introduced as Robin at the end of the movie, and then just kind of be Robin in the next movie or something. But they just never went through with it.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
it could have worked.
Well, how they could have got him in the Batman Returns is they could have just cut out the Shrek character.
He was such a big part of it, though. And it's
well, you could have or you could combine two characters. You can combine Penguin in the Shrek and just have the Penguin instead of having that. He could have been the guy that was the big. He could have been that. He could have been dual roles there instead of having him come from the sewers, having him be a crime lord that was,
But Max set everything up for him to kidnap the mayor's baby and come out from under the sewers.
I like that too, and they're all just looking at the manhole.
I love it because the guys in the man. Oh no, it's the Penguin Man.
It's the Penguin Man. They get so transparent.
Love it.
I may have saved the mayor's baby, but I don't think the mayor's right on the political issues. Like when he goes into campaign mode. I love it.
But if they had go with Billy D. Williams and Robin Williams, having Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, it would have made it feel more of a sequel to the first to the '89 film because you had that carryover of that actor, so it would have felt more in continuity.
Oh yeah. Well, I think Billy D. Williams would have made an amazing Two-Face. Actually, he's an amazing actor and doesn't but he couldn't make it back for forever. I don't know. Something happened. I think he was filming one of the Star Wars movies at the time or something. Or not Star Wars.
They just flat out didn't ask him back.
No, yeah, that's what it was. They just didn't ask him. They just went with Tommy Lee.
That's so weird. Because honestly, I thought he wanted to play the role too. From what I understood,
he did.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams did. Yeah, because he took the role in Batman, thinking he was going to get to play the role again in a sequel.
Didn't he have I heard he had a clause in his contract that he anticipated that he might get screwed over. So he had a clause that said if they make another Batman movie and don't cast him as Two-Face, then they had to still pay him the amount of money that they would if they had cast him.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, they had that clause.
Yeah.
They still had to pay him out.
That's amazing. So he still got his money for it anyway. Okay.
That was really smart of him.
That's actually really good. Come on, man. Why wouldn't you want the guy who's the face of Colt, Colt 45 to be your Two-Face? I mean, he's Colt 45, he's Two-Face.
Well, this was the 90s, right? Tommy Lee Jones. There were few actors that were bigger than him.
Well, That's the thing with those '90s Batman movies. They tried to really cram them with a lot of big names in each movie.
Yeah.
Like I'll give Billy D. Williams though. He did get his upcomings. He did actually get to play Two-Face in the Lego Batman movie.
Yep.
They got him actually to reprise the role.
Yeah.
So
he got to voice him.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lego, I mean, it looks like him too. I mean, as much as a Lego does, it's modeled.
It's true. That was a fun movie too, the Lego Batman movie. I have to say
yeah.
that.
I've said multiple times it was the best DC movie of 2017.
Then actually, Tommy Lee Jones isn't somebody I think of as a bad guy either. Because I got to remember, like this was after. I think wasn't this right after like Men in Black?
I thought it was right before.
No,
Was it
Men
right
in
before?
Black came out way later.
Way later,
like 97 or something.
Yeah, but like Tommy Lee was still like playing action heroes on most of his movies.
Yeah,
So-
he's never really. I can't remember. I'm trying to think of a movie where he was a bad guy, and I can't think of it.
Yeah, so like the argument that Billy D seems too much like a good guy.
I think he was in a Clint Eastwood
it was
movie where
after
he was
The
the bad guy.
Yeah, okay.
Greg and Craig's got it. It was after The Fugitive. That movie was pretty big.
Yeah, that was a big movie. Yeah, The Fugitive.
Had Harrison Ford in it too.
Yep.
Those were the good old days. There's some good movies back then. But I guess we might wrap it up. Been talking a couple hours. And
Oh wow, I didn't even realize how much time had passed.
yeah. Oh, that's how you know it's a good chat when it goes fast. But did you guys have any final thoughts?
I'm probably gonna have to go back and watch another one of those Batman movies maybe tonight.
Right.
Think that I'd like to see that new Joker movie.
Okay.
It looks like it might be interesting enough. You know, I want to see Joaquin Phoenix's take on the Joker. He's a good actor. Let's see what he can do. And then, yeah, in that whole, I think Jack Nicholson is definitely the best Joker. Played the part just right.
We're in unison on that one.
I think we've all agreed on this.
Jack Nicholson with the clean sweep.
Oof.
You
I
still
think
with us? Oh, go ahead.
So my final notes will be that if you guys haven't rewatched these movies recently, rewatch them. Like just the first two at least. 89 in Returns at least. If you want to watch Forever and like Batman and Robin afterwards, that's your decision. But I recommend at least 89 and Returns, and then realize just like how much effort was put into making these movies, and like just how amazing they still are even to this day.
Yeah,
A lot of work went into those sets and costumes and everything.
If you can, see if you can get like one of your kids, like if you have a kid or like a nephew or a niece or something, try to see if they'll want to watch it with you too. Like, honestly, I think that they would still love them.
Yeah, my kids still like those movies. You know, I can put on any one of the old Batman movies and they sit there and watch them and enjoy them. So,
Oh yeah.
you got to think of the kid factor. They weren't necessarily thinking about us, comics fans. They were more thinking about that sell those toys.
Well, I don't blame them.
Are you still with us, Unranked?
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure what I have to add beyond that.
Oh,
honestly.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. I always appreciate it.
Yeah,
How about you, Dominic?
Not too much more. Just yeah, they're interesting. They're good movies. The first two, and you know, they're even though they have their flaws, they are fun to watch.
Yeah, they're all worth watching, I think. But that's all for now. So thanks everyone for watching and being here and being a part of DC Fans United.